Understanding the role of parliamentary committees in India. The Parliament of India is a large and complex organization. It is responsible for discussing and making decisions on many important issues. However, because of its size and the range of topics it needs to cover, Parliament often finds it challenging to discuss everything in detail. This difficulty arises from the fact that there is not enough time during the sessions, and many members may not have the specialized knowledge needed to evaluate every legislative matter thoroughly. To help with this challenge, Parliament relies on various committees. These committees play significant roles in managing the vast number of legislative tasks and ensuring that the work of Parliament is carried out effectively. Although the Indian Constitution mentions these committees in different articles, it does not provide specific details on how they should be formed, their duration, or their functions. Instead, these aspects are outlined in the rules of the two houses of Parliament, the Lok Sabha, House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha, Council of States. A parliamentary committee is defined by several key characteristics. Firstly, it is either appointed or elected by the members of the House, or it may be nominated by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha or the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Secondly, the committee operates under the guidance of the Speaker or the Chairman, ensuring that it aligns with the broader goals of the Parliament. Thirdly, it must present its reports either to the House itself or to the Speaker-Chairman, making its findings public for further action. Lastly, the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha provides a secretariat to support the committee's work by handling administrative tasks and documentation. It is important to note that not all groups that involve members of Parliament are considered parliamentary committees. For example, consultative committees, which also include members from both houses, do not meet the four criteria mentioned earlier. They function differently, often acting more as advisory groups than as formal committees responsible for legislative scrutiny. In the Indian Constitution, various articles reference the existence of committees. Article 105 provides the framework for parliamentary privileges and states that members of Parliament have the right to freedom of speech within the houses. Additionally, the rules governing the functioning of committees can be found in the rules of procedures of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The presence of these committees is crucial for the effective functioning of the Parliament. They allow for more focused discussions on specific issues, enabling members to dive deeper into the topics that matter most to the people of India. By bringing together expertise and different perspectives, committees help ensure that the legislative process is thorough and well-informed, ultimately leading to better governance. Classification of parliamentary committees in India. In India, parliamentary committees play a significant role in the functioning of the government. They are primarily classified into two main types: standing committees and ad hoc committees. Standing committees are permanent in nature, usually constituted every year, and work continuously on various issues. In contrast, ad hoc committees are temporary and are formed for a specific purpose, ceasing to exist once their assigned task is completed. Standing committees. Standing committees can be categorized based on the functions they perform into 6 main groups. Financial committees. These include key committees like the Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee, and the Committee on Public Undertakings. Their main role is to oversee government expenditure and ensure that public funds are being utilized efficiently and lawfully. Department-related standing committees. There are a total of 24 such committees, and each is linked to specific departments. They review the functioning and performance of various ministries and departments. Committees to inquire. This group includes the Committee on Petitions, Committee of Privileges, and the Ethics Committee, which are responsible for investigating issues raised by the public or members of Parliament. Committees to scrutinize and control. These committees focus on the oversight of government commitments, subordinate legislation, and welfare initiatives. For example, the Committee on Government Assurances checks that the government fulfills its promises. Committees relating to daily house business, these include the Business Advisory Committee, Rules Committee, and others that manage the daily functioning of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha sessions. Housekeeping committees, these committees look after the services and facilities available to members of Parliament, such as the Library Committee and the Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances of Members of Parliament. Ad hoc committees. Ad hoc committees are temporary and can be split into two primary categories: inquiry committees and advisory committees. Inquiry committees are set up as needed to investigate specific issues and report back. Examples include the Railway Convention Committee, which looks into railways functioning, and the Committee on Members of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme, MPLADS, which reviews the development initiatives in members' constituencies. Advisory committees mainly focus on scrutinizing specific bills. When a bill is presented in Parliament, it can be referred to a select committee or a joint committee, which reviews the bill in detail. The committee examines each clause, suggests amendments, and takes testimonies from experts or organizations related to the bill. After reviewing, the committee submits its report to the House, which can include dissenting opinions from members who disagree with the majority's views. Notable committees and their functions. One of the most important standing committees is the Public Accounts Committee. Formed in 1950, it consists of 22 members, elected annually from both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This committee examines annual audit reports provided by the Controller and Auditor General, CAG, of India. Its main tasks include checking if public funds have been spent legally and efficiently. The committee also looks for instances of waste or misuse of resources. The Estimates Committee was established in 1950 and consists of 30 members, all from the Lok Sabha. This committee's role is to analyze budget estimates and suggest improvements to ensure that public expenditure is managed wisely. Importantly, the committee cannot affect policy decisions made by Parliament and can only provide advisory recommendations. Another important committee is the Committee on Public Undertakings, established in 1964. This committee reviews the functioning of public enterprises and assesses whether they are following sound business practices. Like the other committees, its recommendations are non-binding, meaning they do not have the authority to enforce changes. Limitations of parliamentary committees. Even though parliamentary committees are crucial for oversight and accountability in governance, they face several limitations. For instance, their recommendations are advisory and are not legally binding on the ministries. They primarily perform evaluations after expenditures have already occurred rather than before. Additionally, they typically focus on selected departments each year rather than having a broad oversight capacity across all government operations. Relevant constitutional provisions. The structure and functioning of parliamentary committees in India are guided by various articles and rules in the Constitution and parliamentary procedures. Article 105 and Article 118 of the Constitution outline the powers and privileges of the Parliament and its members, indirectly supporting the establishment of committees to function effectively. The rules of procedure of both houses of Parliament set guidelines for the formation and operations of these committees. Parliamentary committees are essential for ensuring responsible governance in India. Their work helps maintain checks and balances within the government and promotes transparency in the use of public resources. Understanding these committees can provide insight into how the Indian parliamentary system operates and its commitment to democratic principles. Department-related standing committees in India. In India, the department-related standing committees, DRSCs, are important structures in the Parliament designed to enhance accountability and oversight of the executive branch, primarily the Council of Ministers. These committees were established in 1993 based on recommendations from the Rules Committee of the Lok Sabha, initially consisting of 17 committees. In 2004, the number increased to 24, with 7 additional committees set up to cover all the ministries and departments of the central government more effectively. The DRSCs play a crucial role in enhancing financial accountability within the Parliament. Their primary responsibilities include reviewing the budget, examining bills related to specific ministries, and analyzing annual reports submitted by these ministries. Each DRSC comprises 31 members, 21 from the Lok Sabha, the lower house, and 10 from the Rajya Sabha, the upper house. Members from the Lok Sabha are nominated by the Speaker, while those from the Rajya Sabha are nominated by the Chairman. Importantly, ministers cannot be members of these committees. If a nominated member becomes a minister, they must resign from the committee. The term of each DRSC lasts for 1 year after its formation. Out of the 24 committees, 16 operate under the Lok Sabha and 8 function under the Rajya Sabha. Each DRSC focuses on the budgets and policies related to specific ministries, ensuring detailed scrutiny before any financial discussions take place in the Lok Sabha. The committees have specific functional responsibilities, such as reviewing the demands for grants of respective ministries before these are discussed in the Lok Sabha. They are also tasked with examining any bills presented that pertain to their assigned departments. They must consider annual reports and national policy documents related to the functioning of ministries. While DRSCs hold significant power, they also face certain limitations. They do not typically address routine administrative matters of the ministries and do not generally consider subjects already under review by other parliamentary committees. It is also essential to note that their recommendations are advisory and not mandatory for the Parliament. The procedure for reviewing financial demands starts with a general discussion in Parliament, followed by its adjournment for a fixed period. During this time, the DRSCs assess and report on the financial demands of the ministries, with a specified timeline for submission. DRSCs bring several advantages to the parliamentary process. They operate in a non-partisan manner, and their procedures offer more flexibility compared to the Lok Sabha. This system enables a closer, more detailed, and continuous review of executive actions. Consequently, ministries are more cautious about their budget requests, knowing they will be closely examined. Moreover, DRSCs engage all members of Parliament, allowing them to understand the government's functioning better and contribute effectively. The committees can also invite experts to share their views, enriching the discussions and reports produced. The influence of DRSCs on the functioning of the government is significant. Their recommendations often lead to meaningful changes, as ministries are generally responsive to them. Instances where ministries fail to implement the recommendations convincingly are rare. Furthermore, DRSCs improve parliamentary debates by providing vital information, thus creating an informed legislative process. The effectiveness of the DRSC system can be assessed based on 4 main indicators: accountability of officials, the dissemination of information, the impact on the parliament and the public, and the influence on government decisions. Overall, DRSCs have shown their value by creating a corpus of knowledge, enhancing understanding of governmental policies. This results in more informed discussions and better policymaking. In the context of Indian constitutional provisions, Articles 105 and 118 govern the powers and privileges of Parliament and its committees. These articles empower the Parliament to make rules for its own proceedings and ensure effective checks and balances on the government, further emphasizing the importance of committees like the DRSCs in maintaining a vibrant democracy in India. Committee on Petitions in India. The Committee on Petitions is an important group within the Indian Parliament that focuses on examining various petitions submitted by citizens regarding legislative bills and other matters of significant public concern. This committee plays a crucial role in ensuring that the voices of the people are heard in the legislative process. In India, there are two houses of parliament, the Lok Sabha, House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha, Council of States. Each of these houses has its own committee on petitions. The Lok Sabha's committee is made up of 15 members, while the Rajya Sabha's committee is composed of 10 members. These members are responsible for reviewing the petitions and concerns brought to their attention, influencing how laws and policies are shaped. When it comes to the process of handling petitions, the committee entertains representations not only from individual citizens but also from various associations and organizations. This means that anyone, whether a single person or a group, can bring issues to the attention of the Parliament through this committee. These issues might involve requests for new laws, changes to existing laws, or concerns related to union subjects, matters that fall under the jurisdiction of the central government. According to the Indian Constitution, the right to petition is an important aspect of democracy. While the Constitution does not have a specific article solely dedicated to petitions, the broader framework of Articles 14, Right to Equality, and 19, Freedom of Speech and Expression, lays the groundwork for individuals to express their concerns and grievances openly. Through the Committee on Petitions, Parliament provides a structured way for the public to participate in the democratic process. Additionally, this committee examines various aspects of the petitions submitted to it. This includes considering the validity of claims made in the petitions, whether the issues raised are of public interest, and the necessity of legislative action. Once the committee reviews a petition, it can recommend necessary actions to either the respective House of Parliament or suggest that issues be addressed by the concerned ministries. Moreover, after the committee prepares its recommendations, these are presented to the members of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Debates may be held based on these recommendations, and if necessary, the government may be urged to take action on the issues highlighted in the petitions. The Committee on Petitions plays a vital role in bridging the gap between the citizens and the legislative process, ensuring accountability and responsiveness from the government. This fosters a healthy democratic environment where the government is more in touch with the needs and concerns of the people it serves. Committee of Privileges in India. The Committee of Privileges is an important part of the Indian parliamentary system. It plays a crucial role in maintaining the rights and privileges of the Houses of Parliament and their members. The committee examines situations where the privileges of the House or its members may have been violated and suggests what actions should be taken in response. Functions and responsibilities. The primary duty of the Committee of Privileges is to investigate cases where the rights of Parliament members or the institution itself may have been compromised. This includes situations where a member may have faced unfair treatment or where someone has disrespected the authority of the House. The committee operates in a semi-judicial manner, meaning it has some aspects similar to a court in how it reviews cases and decides on appropriate actions. For example, if a member of Parliament believes that their right to speak freely in the House has been violated, they can bring this issue to the committee. The committee will then look into the matter, review the facts, and make recommendations based on their findings. Composition of the committee. The Committee of Privileges consists of different numbers of members based on the House in which it operates. In the Lok Sabha, which is the lower house of Parliament, there are 15 members on this committee. In the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, the committee consists of 10 members. These members are selected from among the elected representatives and include members from various political parties, ensuring a diverse representation. Constitutional framework. The privileges of Parliament and its members are laid out in the Indian Constitution. Article 105 of the Constitution specifically deals with the powers, privileges, and immunities of the Lok Sabha and its members. Similarly, Article 194 addresses the same issues for the Rajya Sabha. Both of these articles ensure that members can perform their duties without interference and are protected from legal actions related to their expressions made in the House. These articles serve as the legal basis for the operations of the Committee of Privileges, giving it the authority to investigate breaches and recommend actions. When the committee finds that there has been a breach of privilege, it can recommend disciplinary measures, which might include reprimands or other actions against those responsible. Conclusion. The Committee of Privileges is essential for upholding the dignity and authority of India's Parliament. By examining cases of privilege violations, it ensures that members can operate effectively and freely, thereby maintaining the integrity of the parliamentary system. Understanding the functions and responsibilities of this committee, along with the constitutional laws that protect these privileges, is vital for recognizing how democracy functions in India. This ongoing process supports balanced governance and accountability, foundational principles for a flourishing democratic society. The Ethics Committee plays a crucial role in the functioning of the Indian Parliament by ensuring the integrity and accountability of its members. The committee was first established in the Rajya Sabha in 1997 and later in the Lok Sabha in 2000. Its main responsibility is to enforce a code of conduct for members of Parliament, MPs. This code of conduct outlines the expected behavior and ethical standards that MPs should uphold while performing their duties. The committee takes on the important task of examining cases where MPs may have engaged in misconduct. Misconduct can include a variety of actions that violate the ethical standards set out in the code, such as corruption, bribery, misuse of parliamentary positions, or any other behavior that undermines the dignity of the Parliament. Based on its findings, the Ethics Committee makes recommendations on appropriate actions that should be taken against the involved MPs. This can include disciplinary actions ranging from warnings to suspension or expulsion from the House. In terms of membership, the Lok Sabha's Ethics Committee consists of 15 members, while the Rajya Sabha's committee has 10 members. These members are appointed from among the MPs, representing different political parties to ensure a balanced approach to the enforcement of the ethical norms. To understand the legal foundation of the committee's work, it's important to refer to the rules and articles of the Indian Constitution that pertain to the conduct of MPs. The Code of Conduct derives its significance from various provisions in the Constitution and the rules of procedure of both Houses of Parliament. Article 105 of the Constitution grants Parliament the authority to make rules for its own procedure, which includes the establishment of committees such as the Ethics Committee. Furthermore, the Representation of the People Act, 1951, governs the conduct of elections and includes provisions to disqualify MPs on grounds of criminal misconduct, which supplements the work of the Ethics Committee. In a broader context, the existence of the Ethics Committees reflects India's commitment to uphold democratic values and maintain transparency and accountability in governance. By monitoring the behavior of parliamentarians, these committees not only act as watchdogs but also contribute to the public's trust in the democratic process. In summary, the Ethics Committee is vital in maintaining discipline and decorum within the Indian Parliament, ensuring that MPs adhere to ethical standards and protecting the integrity of the legislative process. As India continues to evolve as a democracy, such committees and their functioning are essential in promoting good governance and public confidence in elected representatives. Committee on Government Assurances. The Committee on Government Assurances plays a vital role in ensuring accountability within the Indian government. Its primary function is to review the promises and commitments made by ministers during debates or discussions in the parliament, known as the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The committee checks how well these promises have been fulfilled and reports its findings to the parliament, promoting transparency in the government's functionality. Established in 1953, the committee is made up of members from both houses of parliament. In the Lok Sabha, it includes 15 members, while in the Rajya Sabha, it is made up of 10 members. The composition of the committee helps to ensure that a diverse range of opinions and perspectives are considered when evaluating government promises. The Committee on Government Assurances is particularly important because it keeps the ministers accountable to the Parliament and, by extension, to the citizens of India. For example, if a minister promises to undertake a specific project during a session, the committee can later investigate whether that project has commenced, progressed, or was abandoned altogether. This process helps in maintaining a check on the executive branch of the government. In terms of legal framework, the committee operates under the rules of procedure set by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and follows guidelines laid out in the Constitution of India. Though there isn't a specific article of the Constitution that exclusively deals with the Committee on Government Assurances, its workings are influenced by broader principles of parliamentary procedure and accountability outlined in Articles 105 and 122, which cover the privileges and powers of Parliament. The function of this committee aligns with the democratic principles of governance, ensuring that elected representatives honor their commitments made to the citizens of India. It promotes a culture of openness and responsibility among those in power, thereby strengthening the democratic processes in the country. In conclusion, the Committee on Government Assurances serves as an essential watchdog of the commitments made by ministers, advocating for the importance of fulfilling promises and maintaining trust with the electorate. Its establishment and ongoing work reflect the conscience of democracy in India, safeguarding the pillars upon which the government operates. Committee on Subordinate Legislation. The Committee on Subordinate Legislation is an important body in the Indian Parliament that checks how the executive branch uses the powers given to it. The executive can create regulations, rules, sub-rules, and bylaws based on the authority given by laws passed by Parliament or as stated in the Constitution. The main job of this committee is to review these exercises of power to make sure everything is being done properly and according to the law. This committee is made up of 15 members from both houses of Parliament, the Lok Sabha, House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha, Council of States. It was established in 1953 and has played a key role in ensuring that the laws enacted by Parliament are followed accurately by the executive branch. This is vital for maintaining the rule of law and protecting the rights of citizens. Role and functions. The committee carefully examines all the rules and regulations that come under its review. It assesses whether the regulations are consistent with the provisions of the parent law, the original law passed by Parliament, and whether they respect the principles of democracy and justice. If the committee finds that the executive has overstepped its bounds, it can report this to Parliament. Such reporting can lead to discussions and necessary changes to ensure accountability. Constitutional framework. The power to create subordinate legislation is derived from Articles 245 and 246 of the Indian Constitution. Article 245 allows Parliament to make laws for the whole or any part of India, while Article 246 provides for the distribution of legislative powers between the Union and the states. Once these laws are passed by Parliament, they can give authority to the executive branch to develop detailed rules and regulations on how those laws will be applied in practice. Moreover, Article 298 provides the executive with powers to make regulations for the conduct of its business, which is crucial for the functioning of various government departments. However, The Committee on Subordinate Legislation ensures that these powers are not abused and are exercised within the framework set by the Parliament and the Constitution. Importance of the Committee. The work of the Committee on Subordinate Legislation is crucial for several reasons. It helps maintain checks and balances within the government. By overseeing the actions of the executive, the committee ensures transparency and accountability. It provides a platform for legislators to voice concerns and seek clarification on matters that may affect the general public or legal standards. In a country as diverse and complex as India, where regulations can impact various sectors such as healthcare, education, and the economy, it is vital to have oversight mechanisms like this committee in place. The objective is not just to review but also to improve how laws are implemented and ensure they are beneficial to the citizens. In conclusion, the Committee on Subordinate Legislation serves as a guardian of parliamentary authority, playing a key role in ensuring that laws passed by Parliament are implemented properly by the executive. Its oversight helps to ensure that the spirit of the law is maintained, promoting good governance in Indian democracy. The Committee on Papers laid on the table is an important part of the Indian parliamentary system. This committee was formed in 1975 to ensure transparency and accountability in how the government operates. It plays a key role in reviewing documents presented in Parliament, specifically the papers laid before the House by various ministers. The committee consists of two parts, the Lok Sabha Committee, which has 15 members, and the Rajya Sabha Committee, which has 10 members. The composition reflects the importance of having representation from both the lower and upper houses of Parliament, ensuring that different viewpoints are heard. The main function of this committee is to check all papers submitted by ministers to see if they follow the rules set out in the Constitution of India and relevant laws. This is crucial because it helps in maintaining the integrity of the parliamentary process. For instance, the committee looks at various types of documents, including reports, statements, and other papers, to ensure that they are in accordance with legal provisions. However, it's important to note that this committee does not review statutory notifications and orders that are under the jurisdiction of the Committee on Subordinate Legislation. The latter committee specifically deals with the rules and regulations framed by the executive under the authority of the law, ensuring that they are not exceeding their powers. The framework for the operations of the Committee on Papers laid on the table can be linked to various articles of the Indian Constitution. Articles 107 and 108 outline the legislative procedure and the responsibilities of Parliament, while Article 166 focuses on the role of the governor in the executive branch. Understanding these articles helps in grasping how various committees, including the Committee on Papers, fit into the broader system of governance in India. In addition, the rules of procedure of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha provide detailed guidelines on how these committees should operate. This includes procedures for electing members, conducting meetings, and reporting findings, which ultimately contributes to a more effective parliamentary process. By examining the papers laid on the table, this committee supports the principle of accountability and provides a check on the executive branch, ensuring that the government remains answerable to Parliament and, by extension, to the citizens of India. This function not only enhances good governance but also reinforces the democratic framework within which the Indian polity operates. Committee on Welfare of SCs and STs. The Committee on Welfare of Scheduled Castes, SCs, and Scheduled Tribes, STs, is an important group within the Indian Parliament. It has a total of 30 members, which includes 20 representatives from the Lok Sabha, the lower house of Parliament, and 10 from the Rajya Sabha, the upper house. This committee plays a vital role in ensuring the rights and welfare of marginalized communities in India. One of the primary functions of the committee is to review and consider the reports provided by the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. These commissions are responsible for monitoring the implementation of various laws and policies aimed at protecting the rights of SCs and STs and ensuring their upliftment. By examining these reports, the committee can assess how effectively the government is working to support these communities. In addition to reviewing reports, the committee also looks into various issues associated with the welfare of SCs and STs. This includes checking how well the government is enforcing constitutional protections and legal provisions that are designed to help these communities. Such safeguards are crucial because they offer protection against discrimination and aim to promote equality and social justice. The Indian Constitution itself contains specific articles that focus on the rights of SCs and STs. For instance, Article 46 encourages the state to promote the educational and economic interests of SCs and STs and to protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Moreover, Article 341 allows the President of India to specify the scheduled castes on the basis of the social and educational backwardness of these communities, which ensures that they receive the support they require. The committee also evaluates the implementation of various welfare programs aimed at SCs and STs. These programs include initiatives related to education, employment, land distribution, and healthcare. The goal is to ensure that the benefits of these programs reach those who need them most and that there is a tangible improvement in their living conditions. In summary, the Committee on Welfare of SCs and STs is essential for promoting the interests of these communities in India. Through its various functions, including reviewing commission reports and assessing government policies, the committee helps ensure that the constitutional protections and welfare programs are effectively implemented. This oversight is crucial for fostering equality and improving the quality of life for marginalized groups in the country. Committee on Empowerment of Women. The Committee on Empowerment of Women was established in 1997 as part of India's efforts to promote gender equality and improve the status of women in society. This committee consists of 30 members, which includes 20 members from the Lok Sabha, the lower house of parliament, and 10 members from the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of parliament. The structure of this committee reflects the democratic principle of representation, ensuring that various regions and voices across the country have a say in matters concerning women's issues. The main role of this committee is to review and discuss reports provided by the National Commission for Women, NCW. The NCW is an essential body that advocates for women's rights and addresses issues related to women's welfare. One of the key tasks of the committee is to evaluate the measures taken by the union government to promote the status, dignity, and equality of women in various sectors, including education, health, employment, and political participation. The committee examines the effectiveness of existing policies and programs aimed at empowering women. It ensures that the government's initiatives stay in line with the constitutional mandates and laws designed to uplift the status of women. Several articles in the Indian Constitution, such as Article 14, which guarantees equality before the law, and Article 15, which prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, serve as a foundation for women's rights.